Hey, can you hear me now? Hopefully you guys can hear me now. It says the mic is reading, so maybe? Yes? Awesome. Yeah, I made that intro graphic and then I basically just started looping some chords and got carried away and it turned into a whole song. So, but it was fun to make. I'm just gonna test a couple things. This isn't even an official stream. I didn't even mean to start streaming. I was just messing around with OBS and did so while logged into Twitch, so it started my stream. So here we are. I'm gonna test the OBS camera on my iOS real quick and see if that works. Yeah, secret stream. iPhone camera. Yeah, that works. And the mic is still on, which is cool. Cool. I'm gonna test the BRB, which is playing now. Mic is still on for BRB, which I don't want, so I'm gonna turn it off. I keep having to turn the mic on and off, which is not what I want. I want the mic on and offness to correspond to what scene I'm on, but I'll have to figure out how to do that later. So yeah, mic is on. Let's test the full screen Ableton, and I'll test Ableton too, Ableton Audio, make sure that works too. Yeah, the mic source, it's like the audio mixer is separate from the sources list in the scene. Maybe there's a way I can change that here. Hang on. Active sources only. I'll figure that out later. It's fine. Let's test Ableton full screen here. So I'm gonna go full screen. You get the infinite zoom. I need to make sure my restream is on here. It is. And here we go. It's just a tune I'm working on. Let me know if you can hear me talking right now over the Ableton. Or if it needs to be louder microphone. Mic is low. Alright. I'm going to figure out a better mic solution at some point, but for now, it's going to be micing off the Logitech camera, which is not optimal, but it works. Let me turn up the mic a little bit. Check. 1 2 1 2. Let me know if you can hear me over the music right now. Just let me know. And I'm just over here messing with the dry wet on the reverb. Operating correct. Operator, I'm ready. Operating correct. Operator, I'm ready. Operating correct. Cool. It's working. Thank you, Night Ride. Thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. Yeah, you know, I started this as a drum and bass track, and it was like 170 BPM, and I just had that little break beat. And then I slowed it down to 144, and I was like, oh, this bounces way better, and then added in the bass and stuff. It pretty much just started out as chopping breaks. Cool. That's working. I'm stoked that's working. Amazing. I have a couple things that I need to sort out here on my side before I do a proper stream. So yeah, cymbals are nice. Thank you. Yeah, the tune is like I can break it down real quick. Let me hop over into Ableton real quick since you guys are here. Let's see. So I've got the drums. Let me solo the drums. Starts out as just kind of this basics. You got the Chi, classic Chi kick right here. Good old Chi. The snare is like the normal, like kind of a chop snare, trap snare thing. But it's going through a little bit of Valhalla vintage verb. Very subtle, just to give it a little space. And then vocoder, which is kind of the secret sauce. Without it, it sounds like a normal, you know, trap snare. Vocoder kind of takes the edge off the highs in a nice way. Also, the range is set to 9.5. So a lot of times I'll just throw a vocoder on various drum tracks to get them to sit in a mix better and to give them some texture, and you get a bonus kind of stereo image from that also. So for example, like, yeah, like even, let's see, I think you can just get stereo from a mono source, I'm pretty sure. So let me just listen to this dry. It's still got some stereo on it, but let me take all the stereo off here with the mono, and then so we've got a nice mono signal, and then this is coming out. It sounds like there's a little bit of stereo from this unvoiced thing. Is like taking all the sounds in the original signal that are basically noisy and amplifying them into the like output of the filters, so you get some extra like transient crunch. And for the carrier on the vocoder, I'm setting it to modulator, but you can also try setting it to noise, and then mixing in the dry wet can be cool. So that's noise, and you can immediately tell like it's stereo now. So it's got roughly the same spectral composition, but it's got a super wide stereo image, which is pretty useful. But for me, I want it to be the modulator. I want to retain more of the original timbral characteristics of this drum. So I keep this on modulator, and then you bring in the unvoiced, which is basically bringing in the noise. And then you can play with the formant to get it to sort of sit where you want. The formant is going to shift the frequencies of the sound up or down in the spectrum. So you can, if you listen to me do that, you'll hear the difference. Just undo that. So yeah, that's the snare. And then this is just your basic like UKG loop, just with some EQ. And then what else is on here? Just a little bit of little reversey thing here and there. And this reversey thing sounds extra crunchy and slightly tonal because it's on texture warp mode with the grain size is set to this specific value because it gives it a certain tone. And you can change that tone by changing the value, right? So it'll be, if I lower this, it'll be higher. And I like it at 63. If you want to be less tonal, you can just turn it to flux. But I wanted it to be a little bit tonal. I'll probably go back in, and these repeat, so I'll probably go back in and change these because it does repeat too much. It's kind of doing the same trick over and over. But yeah, anyway, that's the drums here. And then the drum trick that I was doing in the drop here is like, and this is sort of where I started this track, is like I started with this drum loop, which is not Lynn Collins. It's actually, I started with the Lynn Collins break and then the Think break, and then changed it to this little miss break. So let me just solo play that real quick and you can hear the pattern. And it's doing a reverb. So there's a lot going on here, but first of all, it's going through an amp. Vocoder is making it have this sort of filtery, crunchy sound to it. OTT is just something I always do, is like vocoder into OTT. That's like a little snake trick. It like brings up all the filtery squishiness of the vocoder. K-clip is my kind of go-to clipper. I just have it going a little hot, and then this pitch drop is hitting, let me just show the automation, hitting right here and right here. This auto filter is going just to accentuate the pitch drop. I used it there. I needed a little bit more mids and highs, and then yeah, and then this send is going to reverb, which is not this reverb, Valhalla, super long, and BL20 which is like a flanger. That it's like the Arturia flanger, but I just think it sounds really good. And then some EQ, so you get that kind of the reverb throw that's going on here is like flanging the reverb, which I just thought sounded cool. And I have it hard cut at the 1 here, so it doesn't go forever. So yeah, like all these drums together are going into this drum. This K clip is the only thing on the drum bus, going in a little hot, not super hot, and I may replace that with like 1176 later or something, or do a little further processing. But for now, it's pretty good. So if we listen to the whole drum bus, it sounds like this. The turnaround here is just one of the VAD rides, and it's stretched out. Oh, it's actually on beats. I think what I did was I stretched it on texture mode to get that kind of tonal stretchy sound, and then I just did a Command J to like freeze it in place. So it's not actually using beats mode. It's just kind of, oh yeah, I guess it is using beats mode a little bit, just to stretch it out. But yeah. And then this is a ride to accentuate this sort of kick sub that's going on here, like a. Yeah, and is there anything on it? Oh yeah, delay. This just makes it sit behind the rest of the drum kit a little bit, putting a tiny delay on it. So that the transient of the thing isn't popping out too much, because I wanted the body more of the ride more than I wanted the transient. So I just delay it a tiny bit. That way that the transients of everything else is hitting this K clip and sort of knocking down this transient, right? So you just it's just like an easy way to like push it back in the mix a little bit. Vocoder is probably doing, yeah, vocoder is doing some stereo work here. Vintage verb, use it all the time. OTT, use it all the time too. OTT after reverb is good. It just makes the reverb tail super long. Here, let's listen to this. Yeah, that may have a little too much mid in it. I'll probably put an EQ on this. And just like that. And one thing that I've kind of learned over the years is like I prefer to -12 low cut things rather than hard low cut with like one of these. It's just a sort of like personal preference thing, but I was talking to Fanu about this, who's a really good drum and bass producer, and he says, yeah, everything's going to sound more natural if you're just -12 stuff, you know. You still retain a little bit of that frequency information, and you retain some of the essential character of that sound. So depending on what type of track I'm going for, like that's definitely something I'll do, is just EQ -12 rather than like sculpt, super tight sculpt things in. But yeah, for me, this should be good. So let me just hear that real quick. Yeah, still sounds essentially the same, but leaving a little more space in the mix with this -12 low cut here. What else is going on? We got some shakers that come in to add a little intensity. Hitting the vocoder again. This is another shaker, and super basic one, and then it's just an offbeat hi-hat. This is like my favorite hi-hat that I use on every song. And then yeah, we got the trap snare, and I covered all this stuff. So yeah, cool. Does anyone have any questions about this? Let me read some. Don't give away your secrets. I'm not worried about it, you know. It's like I'm pretty open with technique, and I like if somebody can like use these techniques and make better music, then I'm totally happy about that. Did I master this myself? Yeah, but I just mastered it like very rudimentary ozone 7. Um, it's not doing anything with the EQ. I could probably just turn that off. And the dynamics is like when you load up a basic preset, the dynamics basically looks like this. And all I do is turn the gain up until this little red dot touches the corner. And then I do that for all the bands. And then I'll sort of adjust to taste. This one's slightly lower. So I kind of mix. I master first using my eyes, and then after that, kind of try to close this and like just listen and use my ears. Maximizer, I'm using the IRC3 mode. It's not doing a ton, I don't think. So let me just hop into the drop here. It's just catching some of the more aggressive peaks. I'm probably, you know, mastering this a little bit too much for the creative phase that I'm in. I should probably turn this off, but sometimes it helps for me to just throw a mastering plugin on the master channel and just to help catch a vibe and like figure out, you know, how this is going to sit compared to other tracks, especially when I'm A/Bing with other stuff. So yeah, so ozone and then Gullfoss is like, it's kind of like Soothe, where it's just sort of like mixing into some proprietary algorithm that's like automatically EQing stuff moment to moment. It uses a ton of CPU, but it's really cool. And it's really good for getting that sort of like last 5% sound out of your track. When you're like pretty happy with the mix down, throw a Gullfoss on there and it'll do like, it'll like fill in little gaps in the high end, especially. It sounds really good. I tend to disable it. This is where this red line indicates to the left of that it's not doing anything. So I disable it for the lows because I like my lows to hit a certain way. And this sort of like, if I leave it like this, or if I leave it like affecting the lows, it'll sort of polish out some of the imperfections that I prefer to keep in the lows. But yeah, I have it more doing tame, which is kind of like Soothe, and then recover is kind of like the opposite of Soothe. It's like boosting frequencies that aren't there enough. So yeah, it gives it a nice pro sound, especially when you're like getting to the end of your mix down. So I'd recommend like not using Gullfoss until you're like pretty happy with the mix. Yeah. Do I prefer headphones or studio monitors? I prefer studio monitors, 100%. But I will jump on with headphones. You know, headphones, and these are the what are these? Hi-Fi Man HE4XX that I got on like Mass Drop. They're just like solid planar magnetic headphones. But when I'm normally mixing, I'll mix into the Rawson Audio RAD zeros, which are kind of, they're like planar but like way nicer than these. These are just super comfortable, good for streaming, and decent for mixing. But yeah, I use the, let me switch to the phone camera and I'm gonna show you. So here's the setup. I use the Barefoot Micromain 45s as the monitors. Yeah, Logitech. There we go. So yeah, I think in the future I'll probably do some stuff where I'm like working on this hardware stuff over here. So I've got the Circlon here and the 2600, and these are kind of, they go really well together. And then I've got the Percons over here to make some beats. And like my workflow lately has been like programming drum tracks on the Circlon to trigger the percons, recording a bunch of takes with like different drum sounds on here, switching between different drum kits while keeping the same pattern, and then like playing with the effects. Then I'll come over to Ableton, and in Ableton I'll like run that drum track out to the Eventide space, which is like a great, it's a reverb and delay, and it's just it's also got like a flanger and phaser and stuff in it, and it's really good for doing live take knob tweaking stuff. And I'll record a sort of long drum take, and then start chopping it up. Yeah. What's my favorite modular oscillator? The Loquela Cataratas, for sure. And I will set up, I need to set up a second camera that's going to be on the modular. But yeah, I'll do that at some point. My favorite method for finding good break samples, I just have a huge folder of breaks, and I'll just dip into it every now and then, basically. Do I sample my own perc sounds? Prefer sample libraries or both? I tend to use like drum samples, like, you know, sampled drums from like old funk and soul tracks and shit like that. But I'll definitely also just use sample packs. And then I try to like touch every drum sound to some degree. So, you know, my style is like basically nothing is raw, and I'm just like adding a little touch to like pretty much every drum sound. So if I'm using a hi-hat, you know, you just saw me break down the drum sounds, like pretty much every single thing in there except for one or two of the hats and shakers was like affected in some way. And I just like that sound, you know. There's detail and intention that way, and you're like, it is easy to overwork and overproduce that way, but like you're thinking about what each sound is going to sound like, you know. So you're at least thinking. Oh shit, Night Ride, what's up? It's Sergey. That's what's up, man. How's it going? Can I show my modular? Yeah, I can, but this USB cable that I'm using for the OBS camera is like not long enough to reach the modular right now. But I'll do that in a future stream for sure. Yeah. Yeah, favorite modules right now are like Data Bender is really good. Effects Boy is really cool. I built one called Steve's MS22 that's like a MS20 filter that you get as a kit, and it's got a high and low pass and sounds amazing. Yeah, the vocoder thing is super sick. I love the vocoder. It's like a really cool way to add some you know, unique timbres to the sounds. 360 set. Yeah, 360 is it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. I'm still thinking about where I'm gonna go with it musically, but it should be cool. Yeah. What is your go-to way to process drum sounds for transients? I don't do a lot of transient plugin design stuff. I usually just like, if I need a transient, I'll just go and I have like a bunch of transients that they're in one of the Gold Baby libraries, and they're great. And you just have like a bunch of so I just do Control F, type transient, and then you get your transients and drag them into a sampler that's playing the same thing as like the kick or the snare, and then you know, surf through them until I find one that hits right. So yeah, that's what I do pretty much. Yeah, those tracks, those are forthcoming. What else? see if anyone has any more questions. The UKG sample, it's just from some random UKG pack. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, hardware. Yeah, so the let me see if I can move this camera real quick. Get enough space here. Let me just show you for the processing setup here. So, still got mic? Yes. Yeah, so this is the Eventide, which is my go-to. I'll run full drum tracks through this. Right now, in that track I was working on, I'm running the pads through that. And then I have this sort of mini modular setup where it's audio coming from the computer into here, which is it's not currently running anything, but you basically just run these audio outs to these various effects modules, and then back, and then this would go back to the computer, and then I have that in Ableton Live as like a preset external audio effect, which allows me to at any point just add some modular sauce to like whatever I'm tracking in Ableton very easily, right? So like this filter is a go-to. It just sounds really good on pads and stuff like that. So I'll set that back up properly with the line out here because it's not set up right now. Yeah, let me go back to the camera. Yeah. How did I harness the heat of the sun when making Ease Up? Ease Up is like, okay, so Ease Up is based on a kick drum from this plugin that everyone should buy. It's like super old now, but it's called Rob Papin R Kick, I believe. And it's like, or no, Raw Kick, which is literally just like the hard style kick, Gabber kick generator plugin. It's dope, and there's a million cool like super hard kick drum presets in there. VIP for How You Make Me Feel. I don't know, maybe. I think I'm not sure if I have the project file for that. I tend to like not go back to old project files ever. So if there's any hope for a remix of something, it's like something that I I bounced all the stems for, you know. A lot of times I switched computers a couple years ago and kind of just moved on from like a lot of old music. Yeah, those carts. Oh yeah, the Game Boy carts. The FX Boy is one of the modules, and it uses this proprietary format, which is not a Game Boy cart. And if you put it in a Game Boy, it would potentially damage your Game Boy. And if you put Game Boy carts in this thing, it would potentially damage that. But each one of these things is like, this is a flanger. This is a multi-effect bit crushy thing. There's like a wave folder and a phaser, and Tesseract is like another weird multi-effect. And you get these like, these all come with the module. It's a Bifaco Effects Boy. And yeah, I like the flanger one a lot, so I'll keep that in there. Yeah, thing is crazy. Yeah, a rhythm game, that would be fun. Yeah, I want to do some work in video games. Like I really do. I play games and I often think about how the music would fit in. Yeah, cool. I'm going to wrap it up, guys. But let me see if there's anything else I need to test here. I need to figure out why the mic, or how to separate the mic state of on and offness from the scene, or sorry, how to integrate it with the scene. But I'll figure that out. Yeah, man. Yeah, I want to do like a FPS game. Um, you know, I just feel like the music would fit well with that kind of thing. Um, I was watching the homie uh, Peter play. What's that game called? It's like uh, it's 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 called like Shoe Fight or something. I forget. It's like an FPS where you're like kicking people and you get different shoes that like change your abilities. Yeah, it's kind of super hottish. um, yeah. I have my mic dip the PC output. I can do sidechain. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, what I want is for like right now when I click BRB, for example, you can still hear my mic, but I want BRB to like automatically mute the mic. Um, and for like front camera to automatically turn the mic on, uh, etc. Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, no, I'll figure it out. I'm still learning OBS here. And I just switched to OBS plus Stream Elements, which is even more complicated. So, trying to figure it out. I also, I don't know if you guys saw the 360 flyer, but like the the controller guy, the little alien-looking controller thing, I modeled in Adobe Medium, which is like a VR sculpting application. Um, and so I was thinking it would be cool to show you guys like how I model shit in VR, um, which is like the most fun activity you could possibly do. Um, yeah, thanks. That flyer was really fun to make. It took me like 2 weeks, but it was really fun. Um, it's just a little love letter to the games of my youth, um, as well as sci-fi and body horror movies and shit like that. So. Um, but yeah, I feel like it would be fun to dip into VR and show you guys how I do the VR stuff. Um, I just need to figure out how I can like still view the chat when I'm in VR. Yeah, I'll figure it out. Yeah, cool. I'm gonna sign off. Thank you all for being here and checking out my impromptu, accidental test stream. Um, Fave sci-fi movie, Blade Runner, no question. But also, I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot of them. Recently, Moon was really good. Not really a recent movie, but I watched it again recently. Um, what else? Mad God was super crazy. It's like a stop motion animation. Highly recommend watching it. But anyway, I'm out. See you guys. Peace.